Welcome to the DO Boxing Show. I'm your host, Dameon Okposio. Thanks for tuning into this episode. This episode was made to talk about photos and images being used without people's permission, or when people perceive their images to be used without their permission. Again, this goes back to something I've talked to people about when it comes to either consulting, because I have DO International Boxing Consulting, as well as DO Management, where I manage a lot of fighters, manage the business aspect of them, and I talk to people often about making money in and out of the ring. When it comes to images now, sometimes people are worried about having their images used without their permission, or sometimes they wonder, how did their images get used without their permission or without payment for it? And it's really important to understand that sometimes it might not be an infringement of your rights per se. So number one, we'll talk about who owns the rights to an image. So if a photo of you is being taken and it's being taken in a public area or an area known to be public, the photo is always owned by the photographer, not the person that has the equipment, not a promoter that's doing an event, because this can even be outside, and the photo is always owned by the photographer. If you don't like the photo and you don't want it to be used because you feel that it might not portray you in the best light, then you can buy that photo from the photographer, but the photographer always has, or the person that creates the image always has ownership of that photo, unless they give it away to someone or give the permission for somebody else to use it. A lot of times too, when you're putting your images on social media, you're giving permission to that social media for them to be able to use your photo. So once you post it on there, you've given them your permission, and oftentimes you'll often see, when you sign up for something, it'll say, you're giving us permission to use your image. We're not to be held responsible for whatever happens. So a lot of times you have to read the fine print. A lot of these things move really quickly, but with social media, when you're putting your information out there, you're giving your permission to the social media outlets to use your image. They don't own your image, but they have a right to it. And when they have a right to it, it means that they can also give permission to other people to use it as well. So sometimes if you're seeing your image used somewhere and you've posted it online, you may have given that person permission through the social media outlet that you've used. If you want them to take it down, you can ask them to take it down, but you may not have a legal recourse to make them take it down. If somebody uses your image, say in an advertisement, and the company uses it, in Canada, if you're wondering who to go to, you go to a privacy lawyer and you would do a consult with them, and they will let you know whether or not you have grounds or a leg to stand on when it comes to doing something about your image or getting compensated for it. Sometimes people believe that they can send people a bill, but there's no legal grounds when you send someone a bill for them to pay it. If they've used your image, they may have gotten the permission from somewhere, and you have to be able to prove that it's an infringement or that it was done without permission, because you may have given permission to someone else and that person may have given them permission. So you have to do a little bit of homework in that way. If the company that's using your image for an advertisement is an American company, they fall under some different rules and copyright laws. And if you go to if you go to your local privacy lawyer, they're going to be aware of that. Americans deal with the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, and they deal with the images being used, or there's cases of like paparazzi and stuff like that. So American law is very extensive when it comes to the use of images, and you'll need to be aware of that or have someone that's aware of that. And if your image is being used by a company that's outside of Canada or the US, then there may not be any laws that are governing the use of taking someone's image. So there is a little bit of homework to do. Again, the benefit of having a knowledgeable team, that's where it works in your favor. A lot of times when it comes to management or consulting, people don't really see the value in making that investment, but it's the times when things happen, if the people that you're dealing with have the knowledge in the area or know where to get the information, it can be a tremendous benefit to you. At the end of the day, if you're putting your stuff out publicly, some of it might be used If you want recourse on how to be able to deal with when people use it, a privacy lawyer is going to be your best weapon against that, and also for you to know whether you're actually wasting your time or not trying to seek damages or get the image removed. The best thing always, though, is to utilize your own image to promote yourself and to try and make the most of the time when you're active in sports or competing, to be able to utilize that image to monetize it for yourself and market it for yourself. If you're involved with a company that is using your image, most times they will assist you in protecting your image as well. So hopefully this was informative to people that weren't sure or maybe didn't have an idea of what happens when somebody else uses your image or what's happening with your image. And if you want me to elaborate on any of the parts that I mentioned, just send me a message. If you're wondering anything about boxing, again, send me a message through Twitter at DOKPOSIO, through email okposio@hotmail.com, and don't forget to subscribe through YouTube to get every episode of the DO Boxing Show. Thanks for tuning into this episode, and we'll catch you on the next one.